Guys, I'm Marc the Geek. In this video, I have a hands-on look and personal review of 4 budget smartphones that were sent to me by POSH Mobile. Every single smartphone is a budget smartphone, and that's the reason why I decided to put them all in a video, because they're all similar in price and specs, but they all have like different features that stand out one from the other. Now, when it comes to the packaging of these smartphones, they all look very, very similar. Like you see here, these are all the boxing of the smartphones. You got the Kick Pro, the Volt, the Ultra Max, and the Optima. Behind every single smartphone box, you have all the specs and features that every smartphone has. And in the inside, let's go ahead and take this one for example. In the inside, they're all going to have basically the same things stuffed inside. You're going to have, let's go ahead and take this out. Let's go ahead and check this out. They're all going to have a case. So every smartphone here is going to have a transparent case. They're all going to have a lamination, so you can put it on the screen if you want. They're all going to have this if it requires it. For example, this one and this one actually requires this pin. That way you can change the SIM card or the SD card only on these two. They're all going to have instruction manuals. They're all going to have of course, the charging cable with a micro USB. They're all going to have this charging brick. And they're all going to have free headphones. Of course, the headphones are not going to be high-end headphones, but at least they all come with a free headphones, which is not bad. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the cheapest phone in the bunch. This is the POSH Kick Pro L520. This phone goes for around $88 on Amazon. This one right here is, of course, since it's the cheapest one, of course, spec-wise is also going to be the lowest one. It has an 8 megapixel here in the rear with a single flash LED. In the front, it has 5 megapixel, which is not bad for a cheap phone. The screen is a 5-inch 720p screen, which honestly looks pretty good for the size of the screen. The core in the inside, it's a quad core, so it has a quad core processor capped at 1.0 gigahertz, 1 gigabytes of RAM. In the inside, let's go and take this cover out. In the inside, it has a 2000 milliamp hour battery, which of course is removable. Dual SIM, so you can put 2 SIMs right there. Of course, remember, all these smartphones are 4G LTE compatible, and they're all GSM carriers. So they're gonna be compatible with AT&T, T-Mobile, Metro, PCS, you name it. So if it's a GSM carrier, it should work. So they have dual SIM here, and they also have this one right here has a SD card slot, so you could put up to 32 gigabytes of storage on this smartphone. On the inside, it actually has only 8 gigabytes of storage. And one of the cool things about this phone is that it actually comes with 6.0, like you see here, 6.0 Marshmallow, if I'm not mistaken, which is not bad. It works pretty good on this smartphone. Also, of course, since it's the cheapest smartphone here in the bunch, you should not expect to use this phone to play like high-end games at all. I did try this smartphone with Dan the Man, which is a very casual game. Also with a game called Atlas, which works perfectly good on this smartphone. So for mobile games that are simple, you're not gonna have any problems using this smartphone. High-end games, I wouldn't use this phone for that. But if you're looking for a phone that is really cheap and practically disposable, this is not bad of a deal for the price that you're getting. Now, this right here is the POSH Volt L540. This phone goes for around $114. Now, what's so cool about this smartphone is that it has a huge battery. Yes, it does. It has a 14,000 milliamp hour battery, which is not bad because I've been also getting a lot of good battery with this phone. They promise that you should be getting around 8 hours of talk time 3 days about standard time. This battery is not removable. You could put two SIM cards right here. The SIM cards, of course, can be 4G LTE, AT&T, T-Mobile, you name it. And here, of course, you put the micro SD card, which you can put up to 128 gigabytes. In the inside, you're gonna get 16 gigabytes of storage, which it's a very decent size for a budget smartphone like this. In the rear, you got 8 megapixel camera with a single LED. In the front, you have a 5 megapixel camera. Keep in mind, the photos are pretty good, not bad at all. But the video is 720p. It's not the greatest video. You know, you're not gonna get an amazing camera with these smartphones at all. But spec wise, it's not that bad. 4,000 milliamp hour, which is awesome. Quad core, 1 gigahertz and 3 gigabytes of RAM, which is great for gaming. I've been playing a lot of games on this smartphone, been having no problems whatsoever. Of course, a lot of the games you should keep it on low resolution. That way they can run a lot more smoother, because of course it has 3 gigabytes of RAM, but it's still a budget phone. This phone also comes in different colors as well. It comes in gold, rose gold, and space gray. One negative I would have to say about this phone compared to the cheapest one is that this phone only comes with Android 5.1. Android 5.1, this one over there that I showed you before was actually 6.0. But when it comes to navigation and all that, you know, feels really good. The good thing about these smartphones here, all four of them, is that they don't have too many bloatware. The applications that they come are basically the standard application you should get, like the calculator, the calendar and all that, the camera, the clock, and everything like that. All these smartphones, they also come with a POSH store. Like, see here, this is a POSH store where you could get applications very cheap. So a lot of applications are free as well. You have to sign in with your account and all that. But of course, you can always use the Play Store for every smartphone here that you see in the table. This right here is the POSH Ultra Max L550, which is one of my favorite smartphones here in the bunch. And the reason it's one of my favorite is because, one, it's big. It's a 5.5-inch screen, and the way that it feels in my hand, the way that this phone is constructed. In the front is glass. In the rear, on the rear is glass. On the sides, it's metal. So like you see here, it looks very, very similar to an iPhone. And it feels really, really, really premium. I gave this phone to one of my buddies at work and asked him, hey, considering that this is a POSH brand phone and the build quality of this phone, how much you think this phone would actually cost? And he guessed around $400 or $500 because it wasn't an iPhone or it wasn't a Samsung or LG device. No, it's $110. That is it. $110 for this smartphone that actually feels like a high premium phone. Now, when it comes to spec wise, this phone has a 5.5-inch screen, 720p screen, which, believe me guys, games and videos and pictures looks perfectly good on the screen. No problem whatsoever when it comes to the screen quality. And it also can get really bright as well. So it can get really bright. The operating system, of course, is 6.0, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yes, it's Android 6.0. Inside, you have a quad-core 1.2 gigahertz and also 1 gigabytes of RAM, which is a little bit disappointing. It would have been nice if it had at least 2 gigabytes of RAM, but it has 1 gigabytes of RAM, which means that you can play video games, but honestly, I would actually cut all the applications running in the background, then play the video game, or I would use one application at a time to have a good experience. So far, I've been having a good experience with this smartphone, considering that it's only a 1 gigabyte RAM. When it comes to the camera, it has a 8 megapixel camera in the rear. Has a 2 megapixel camera in the front, which is also disappointing. The camera quality is not that good in this smartphone, so you're basically buying this smartphone actually for the build quality. That's it. When it comes to the battery, 27 milliamp hour battery, which is not bad. I've been actually getting pretty good battery on this smartphone. No problems whatsoever when it comes to battery. Also, it has 16 gigabytes of internal storage. And you can actually add 64 gigabytes of storage using this right here on the slot. So right here, it has dual SIM, right? If we take this out right there using this pen, there you go, like there. Right here, you would have to put a SD card and a SIM card. Remember, this is compatible with 4G, LTE, GSM carriers as well. You can actually use two SIM cards if you want, but if you want to have a card or a SIM card, you can have it as well, both at the same time here. So once you have both cards right there, you would just slide it in. Going to slide it in, and that's it. Other than that, this phone isn't black, of course, but it comes in gold and it comes in white. And like I said before, it's one of my favorite phones here in the bunch because of the way that it feels in my hand. The battery life is not that bad as well. I've been having good battery life with this smartphone. And it just looks gorgeous. I think the way that it feels, it looks really, really nice. It feels a lot more premium than $110. I gotta say that. Now this right here is the best phone of the bunch. This is the POSH Optima L530. This phone goes for around $153. Now what separates this phone from the bunch is that, first of all, it has a fingerprint scanner here in the rear. The fingerprint scanner is good for unlocking the phone. It's also good for locking applications as well. So if you have like an application that you want to lock, like YouTube or the Google Play Store, you can lock it with your fingerprint. Then it will only work if you use your fingerprint to unlock the application. Now this also has here in the rear a 13 megapixel camera, which is pretty good, and it has a dual flash LED. Now what's cool about this smartphone is that in the front, it also has a 13 megapixel camera. So it has a 13 megapixel camera, and for your selfies, you also get a 13 megapixel camera as well. That is pretty damn cool. What is so cool about this smartphone is the way that it feels in your hand. It is smaller than the Ultra Max, but the sides are also in metal. So it is really cool looking because this right here is like gold. And of course, gold with black combines really, really good. So you have gold metal in the sides. In the back is actually plastic. It's not glass just like this one. It's plastic in the back, glass in the front. Of course, you unlock it with your fingerprints, and it works pretty damn good. Like you see there, works really fast. Also, the screen is a 5-inch screen, 720p. Perfectly good when it comes for gaming, when it comes to watching photos, when it comes to watching videos, no problem whatsoever. Now, another thing that separates this smartphone from the bunch is that it has an octa-core processor clocked at 1.3 gigahertz. This right here has a quad core. This one here has an octa-core, which is 8 cores. Has 2 gigabytes of RAM, which is not bad when you consider it's combined with an octa-core. Battery life is pretty decent as well. It has a 3000 milliamp hour battery. Also, in the inside, you're going to have 16 gigabytes of storage. But just like this smartphone, you change the SD card right here. So you have to use the little pin, take the tray out. And once you take the tray out, you're going to have the slot for the SIM card or the SD card. Now, one negative thing about this smartphone is that it only has 5.1. So you like see here, it's kind of weird. Some of these phones, like for example, this one 5.1 gig Android, which is Lollipop. This right here, which is the cheapest one, has 6.0. This one has 5.1, and this one has 6.0. So 6.0, 6.0, 5.1, and 5.1, which is kind of disappointing. It would have been nice if it at least had 6.0. But other than that, this phone actually works pretty good. Like I said, this is the gold with black. This phone actually comes in black. I think it's black and black. I think that's the way I don't think the whole phone comes in gold. I don't think so. But other than that, this for the price, if you ask me which one you should get, Honestly, if you're looking for a good phone for the price, this is a good phone because it has all the great features that a lot of expensive phone would have, but with a smaller price. So this right here is the Geekbench results of all these smartphones here in the table. Here you have the Kick Pro, this is the Volt, this is the Ultra Max, and this is of course the Optima, which is the more expensive one and the one with the octa core. This is quad core, quad core, quad core. This one actually has a 3 gigabytes of RAM, 1 gigabytes of RAM, and like you see here, 1 gigabytes of RAM, and it's still getting better results than this one. This one right here is the octa-core, of course, multi-cores. It has better scores than every single one of them. And this one right here is the cheapest of all of them, which is only $88, but still pretty decent results compared to all the other phones as well. Okay guys, and that's it for this video. Just like I said before, these are 4 budget smartphones from POSH Mobile. I'm gonna leave the links in my descriptions, that way you can read a little bit more into them, and if you want to buy them, you can also use the same links to buy these products as well. Keep in mind, these are budget smartphones. These are not smartphones meant to compete with Samsung Galaxy phones, iPhones, HTC phones. No, these are budget smartphones, very cheap. A lot of them very different from each other, just like you saw in the video. They all have some features that the other phone does not have. So if you want to buy one of them, you're going to actually have to decide yourself which one is right for you. But considering all the smartphone, like I said before, my favorite ones are the Ultra Max, which is the one that feels like an iPhone, a 5.5-inch screen, and the Optima, which is all around, it's the best smartphone for the money. $153, not bad. So guys, thanks for watching the video. Let me know what you guys think about these smartphones. Links are in the description. Till next time, guys.